Hey everyone, welcome to Broadband Deployment News. The state of Missouri is going to be awarding $261 million for broadband projects. These funds are coming from ARPA. Be right back with the details. Thanks for joining me for Broadband Deployment News. This is Rick Usey. So I wanted to show you this story and just comment on this. So you see here, state awards $261 million through ARPA, through the ARPA Broadband Infrastructure Grant Program, which this is a grant program that Missouri has set up to figure out who should be getting ARPA funds that are coming from the federal government. That's the American Rescue Plan Act, to 60 broadband expansion projects. The Department of Economic Development in Missouri announced today that it's awarded a total of $261 million through ARPA, the Infrastructure Grant Program, to 60 recipients for projects that will expand and improve internet access statewide. Projects receiving funds are expected to create more than 55,000 connections in locations that previously lacked adequate internet access. So that's 55,000 locations, $261 million. So that comes, when I did the math, I think it was $4,750 per location average as you look at that. The ARPA Broadband Infrastructure Grant Program, administered by DED's Office of Broadband Development, was launched in August 2020 to invest in broadband expansion. The program awarded competitive grants to a wide range of applicants, including traditional internet providers, as well as electric and telephone cooperatives. The program prioritized unserved and underserved areas. Funds will be used to build new connections that will deliver symmetrical speeds of 100 meg by 100 meg download or greater. So these unserved and underserved areas would sure reflect the BEAD program definitions of that. That would be unserved, anything less than 25 by 3, and underserved, anything less than 100 by 20, and greater than 25 by 3. So these were areas that traditionally were not receiving the best internet access. So in here, there's a link with more information on who actually is getting the money. So you see that here. So you see the 22 providers. So you do see it's a mixture here. So you've got Aptitude Internet, Charlton Valley Communications, Choctaw Telephones, there's the telephone company, Com Inc., Connexon Connect, so that would be Connexon working with someone like an EMC probably, is partnering with them. Current Electric Heating and Air. I thought this was really interesting. Current Electric Heating and Air. So this is the company website for that. So this takes me back. This takes me back to the early days when the internet was dial-up. We were actually providing, we started out as a wholesale internet service provider in the mid-90s, like 95, 96 is when we kind of got into that business. So we were a dial-up internet provider, and we started providing wholesale internet services to other providers to help them get in the business. And at that time, you could be an independent company like we were, just providing dial-up internet. You didn't need to have any facilities because it was all used over the telephone lines. You had to have obviously your own phone lines coming in, but you didn't need to be the phone line provider. And we had one of our original companies that we were helping getting in the internet business, for example, was a sign company. They just had a sign company in town and they wanted to be in the internet business, and we helped them do that. You didn't need to have DSL lines and cable lines. It was all dial-up internet, and you just needed to have phone lines in each end, and everybody could do that. So here is Current Inc., and this is a heating and air company you see here. And you see some antennas in the background. So these guys were wireless. They have many more than 2 antennas as I was looking at it. So these guys are a pretty good sized wireless provider in this area, and they are getting money as well. So if you look here, about us, heating and air, electrical, so they really do this stuff. Current Comfort Clubs, that's, I'm sure, heating and air. And then you got internet. So if you click on the internet, you see that they are upgrading to fiber in certain areas. I don't know if this is related. Some of this may be related to the money that they're expecting, or they may have been doing this anyway, trying to upgrade some areas to fiber that were wireless. So they're going to have money, and it's going to be for them. Again, they've got their one project. So for them, it's going to be, the county is Oregon County, and $9 million. $9.5 million that they're getting to be able to do that. So they've already got an existing customer base, and it looks like they're going to be converting those folks over to fiber. But they're also they're not going to be able to do that with these current funds because that's for giving it to new people. It could be, I suppose, if they're not offering 25 by 3 or maybe 100 by 20. But in general, I think this is probably going to be expanding to unserved and underserved areas in this county where maybe they're not providing service, I suppose, or it could be that they are getting funds to improve the service that they're providing if they're able to do wireless, but not at high speeds. So you've got that interesting situation there, that company. And then you've got Gateway Infrastructure, Green Hills Telephone, Mark Twain Communications, Midstate Services, NetVision Communications, New Florence Telephone Company, Northeast Missouri Rural Telephone Company, Osage Valley Electric Co-op. So you got telephone companies and electric co-op there, PD Fiber, SAC Osage Electric Co-op, Emo Electric Co-op, Socket Telecom, Spectrum Mid-America. So you got Spectrum and Charter there. Steelville Telephone, United Services, and White River Valley Electric Co-op. So that's where the money is going. You can see the amounts here. It looks like, you got Chariton Valley Communications, 43 million. That's one of the bigger ones. And you've got, looks like the biggest is maybe, if I'm getting all of them, looks like that's White River Valley Electric Co-op would be your biggest. So a few more details in this article in the Heartlander that I wanted to read through. So, I talked about the same kinds of things, who's getting it, how much money, but here it mentions a few additional details. So it mentions the grants won't cover the entire cost of projects as they exceeded $390 million, according to the Department of Economic Development. So they got more projects, they got more requests. More than 300 applications were received, and $1.3 billion was requested by corporations, partnerships, LLCs, nonprofits, and local governments. So obviously they had to choose who they were going to give this money to. It mentions a process to challenge applications resulted in more than 500 objections to approximately 230 projects. Challenges included organizations stating they currently provide broadband internet in an area where another organization's grant application was proposing coverage. But of course, depending on the speeds they were providing, it could still be eligible for these funds. Other challenges were to organizations currently developing broadband infrastructure in areas where applicants proposed development. So that could be somebody saying, hey, we were going to do that. Internet providers with an enforceable commitment to provide service challenged applicants desiring to do so in the same area and time frame. The Office of Broadband's website states that the number of challenges far exceeded estimates. Therefore, it prioritized challenges to the highest scoring and most viable grant applications to announce awards within a reasonable time frame. While this means that a large portion of the challenges submitted never went through a full challenge review, these challenges were attached to applications that would most likely not have been funded anyway due to lower scores. Out of the applications challenged, 34 ultimately were placed on the final awards list. So I'm not sure if that means more are coming, because there were, there's 60 projects. So 60 projects, 22 providers. So I'm not sure what that means as far as the 34 applications. Maybe they're going to be announced. I don't know. In August 2021, Parson announced a $400 million broadband infrastructure plan using ARPA funds. So this was 2021 of August. Missouri ranked 32nd in the nation in broadband access with 147,000 unserved or underserved households, according to the Missouri Office of Broadband. So that would be based on their estimates and mapping. Obviously, we don't know for sure the final numbers that are going to be what counts, and that's going to be the broadband map and the numbers that the NTIA and the FCC get from the current broadband map that's being updated. I should see the updated map coming out sometime in the spring, and the new data that's being overlaid by ISPs right now. So that's all going to be hashed out, and by June 30th, we should know the actual number of unserved and underserved locations in each state according to that, which is what everybody has to go by. But they've got probably, I'm sure, a pretty good estimate here. So approximately 400,000 out of 6 million Missourians don't have reliable internet access. So Missouri ranked 32nd in the nation in broadband access with 147,000 unserved or underserved households. Approximately 400,000 of the 6 million Missourians don't have reliable. So 147,000 households, and I guess they're saying in those households there are 400,000 persons that don't have reliable internet access. So this will go a long way. So you can see here a lot of progress has been made even prior to BEAD money. So they're talking about, prior to this, you had the 400 million from ARPA, and then this is another 261 million. So I don't know if this is all coming from there's two funds associated with ARPA. There's the local Fiscal Recovery Act funds, and then there's the the Capital Projects Fund, and each one has a different amounts of money in it, but they both can be used. They were meant for pandemic kind of responses, and broadband was a big part of that, and those funds could be used for other things in addition to broadband, but a lot of the states were taking those funds that were available and applying them to broadband because that's where they could make the biggest impact the most quickly. It was something that was a known need, kind of shovel ready, if you want to look at it that way, in the sense that we knew there was a need and we could get working on that right away. Each state realized that. So that was where a lot of those funds were being applied. And that was one of the bigger things that we noticed when the pandemic happened, was that there were a lot of people that were in unserved and underserved locations. So they got home, started need to do work and school from home, and realized, wow, we're not really capable of doing that with the connection we have right now. So that was a big driver here. So anyway, so Missouri is making good progress as we look toward the future here. These ARPA funds are being put to good use, and this will reduce the number of households that are unserved and underserved in Missouri, so that when the BEAD figures come out, let me think about what I'm about to say here. So I'm sure that the NTIA and the FCC will take this into account, even though the infrastructure will not be in the ground, and this will not show up on the broadband map in May because this infrastructure will not be built out. The FCC and the NTIA have to take into account the fact that these are federal funds that are going to be used to bring broadband to these areas. So these should be off of the map from the standpoint of what is eligible. It might show up as unserved or underserved on the broadband map in May or so when that comes out, but these areas would not be eligible because there are federal funds that are now going to be allocated towards those areas. So we don't want to be double dipping on federal dollars. That's going to be ARPA funding that's going to be handling these areas, and those will be not eligible for BEAD funding when all is said and done, and the state of Missouri starts getting funds. These areas will not be eligible, if that makes sense. So thanks for joining me. If this was helpful, if you give me a like on the video, and if you are not subscribed, click the subscribe button, click the bell to be notified when I'm live. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Tech Tuesday tomorrow. I haven't decided on a topic yet, but at 3 o'clock, I'm planning on being live with a topic for Tech Tuesday. So hope to see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.